Hey there and welcome back to Remnant 2. We are going to be using the Gift of the Unbound today, and let's just be upfront with the whole thing. I don't like it. I don't think it's very good. I think it's kind of bad, and I started messing with it like 4 days ago, 5 days ago, something like that, and then I've just put off using it basically the entire weekend and the whole start of this week, and so I'm forcing myself to do it now, and I just don't enjoy using it. I don't enjoy it. I feel like it should be fun or something, but it's just not. So if you're not familiar with it, it disables negative effects of burden rings, but then restricts their maximum health gained by 20% per effect disabled. So basically, if you use a burden ring, instead of having the regular negative effect of it, you're just going to lose some health instead, so you're not getting the other negative. Now that seems kind of interesting, except when you realize 20% of your health is a lot. Now, I'm kind of going at this from the perspective of playing on Apocalypse, right? That's because that's where I'm trying it out. So your experience is going to differ a little bit on the lower difficulties, and it's probably fine on like Veteran and Survivor. Probably not really okay on Nightmare. Definitely not really good on Apocalypse because it's just too much health, right? And it's so deceptive in like what it's doing for you, right? And it can be really hard to quantify it. But here's what I'm using here, right? I've got this on, the Gift of the Unbound. I have 2 Burden Rings on. I have Burden of the Gambler, disables weak spots, but that's not a problem anymore. Increase our crit chance, and increase crit damage. And then we've got Burden of the Destroyer, decreasing our ideal range, but increases our damage, but that now the range is normal now. And then I have Hardened Coil on, which gives us more damage reduction the lower our health is, up to 15%. And then Reserve Boosting Gem, which gives us a small amount of regeneration and then boosts it up to 2 health regeneration per second when we're under 50% health. Now, I chose these 2 here, the Hardened Coil and Reserve Boosting Gem, because these are 2 things I would normally do if I'm doing some kind of restricting band, cord, Death's Embrace build, right? If I'm using something like this one, Death's Embrace. More damage and stuff when I'm under 50% health. Or if you do the, whatever the heck the other one, there it is, Vengeance Idol, under 50% health, do more damage. And then at that point I would have on the restriction cord, which keeps us at 50% but also reduces damage. This thing, it's just, if you have 2 rings on like we do now, we're at 60% health. And what did we get out of it? Now have weak spots because honestly I think Burden of the Gambler is the best choice for it, because the other burden effects are just, I think they're manageable. Like, yeah, they can be a little tedious, annoying, but for the most part, they're not like all that detrimental exactly, right? Like, let's look at them. Let's look at them. We've got the Burden of the Audacious. I haven't messed with that one. That one could be interesting, right? Decrease all healing by 50%, but your perfect dodges heal for 20% of your max health. That could be pretty solid on this, and I haven't actually messed with it. Maybe I will mess with that. Let's go ahead and put it on instead of Burden of the Destroyer. So we're going to do that. We're going to have the Gambler ring on and Audacious. So moving back on, Burden of the Departed reduces total relic charges by 33%. That kind of sucks, but really, you're going to go from 10 to 7, which is not a huge deal. You could then use a medic, so you're recharging them. You could use the stupid Lifeless Heart, so that you've got 20 of them anyways, if you have all your charges, like, filled up. So, it's a manageable burden, I think. Same thing with Burden of the Destroyer. It decreases the ideal range of firearms. But, it increases all your damage. So if you're not worried about your firearm range, then this is not a problem. It's a non-issue. Burden of the Divine decreases your damage but applies self-healing. If you're actually playing with a bunch of teammates, that's not really an issue either. And if you're doing like a whole summoner thing, keeping them alive, like you're already got so many extra damage things, again, kind of a non-issue. Burden of the Follower, reduce fire rate, increase mod power. This one can be pretty annoying, but if you play it with the right weapons, then guess what? Not an issue. Burden of the Mariner. Never used it, honestly. Skill cooldown and mod power stuff. And if you get rid of the increased skill cooldowns, it kind of works against it, right? Because now your skills are off cooldown faster, which means you're not generating as much mod power. You could still be using them more. Burden of the Rebel, skill cooldowns, but relic use speed goes down. So, you got to be careful about how you use your relics. This can be circumvented. Burden of the Silenced, ammo reserves, again, all can be, basically circumvented reasonably well. 20% of your HP is just not worth it, dude. It's not worth it. I'm getting one shot, and the only reason I don't get one shot is when I'm running things like hardened coil. I'm maximizing my survivability. I mean, honestly, I should try and wear even heavier armor. It's just really annoying. I mean, Burden of the Gambler gets a fantastic boost out of it because the weak spots are a huge part of getting more damage. And so if you get a higher crit chance and crit damage and you can get weak spots now it's cooking. Now it's doing stuff. But, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Let's just start running, I guess. Right, we've got the Burden of the Audacious. We'll see how that goes. We've got a lot of regeneration, so being able to dodge a heal will be kind of nice too, right? I do have on Tranquil Heart, which has some wrong mod stuff in there. It should be ranged crit chance and ranged crit damage because we've got some stuff for ranged crit chance and ranged crit damage already, so we're going to make that pretty nice. We've got Hunter as a primary archetype. We've got Gunslinger as a secondary. It's a solid combo with Hunter's Mark, Bullet Storm. Full set of the Void armor and stuff because I just felt like using it. We've got the Chicago Typewriter on. It's got Hot Shot. It's got Bandit. We've got the Nightshade. I hate that weapon. I'm probably not going to use it. We've got the Bolt Driver, which is a lot of fun. It's got Overflow in it. It's got Sequence Shot. We're going to be able to spit out a bazillion bullets with this thing. Here are the traits on the side. Long Shot, Ammo Reserve, Triage, Regrowth, Fortify. A couple points in Strong Back so that we have a medium roll, which, speaking of our armor and stuff, with the Hardened Coil right now, we are at a 53% damage reduction, which is, it's okay. Vigor, Expertise, Siphoner, Handling, Endurance, Spirit, and Recovery. That's what we've got going on. So we're at the Glistering Cloister. Let's just start rolling through and see how we do, man. When I was messing around with it earlier and I was trying a bunch of different setups, I tried using the mod ones, I tried doing some skill ones, I tried just like doing things, and it was awful. It was awful. Sometimes I'd be doing really well, and then you know what would happen? I'd get hit once, and then I would die. Kind of like, you see how close I was? But that was a pretty big chunk of health coming back from a neutral dodge. That was pretty satisfying. Oop, hello. Now, I will say, so with the, what's it called? The Burden of the Gambler, when you disable the weak spot thing, so now you can get weak spots, it's like a 100% damage increase as long as you're consistently getting weak spot hits. Because of how much damage a weak spot can do, right? You're talking about 100% extra damage. And then that's, not accounting for the, whatever you would say, like increased weak spot damage stuff, right? And so you can end up doing a crap ton of damage. And the Burden of the Gambler basically replaces the, probability cord. I was running probability cord for a bit because, if I'm doing more crit chance stuff and crit damage, then I would throw that thing on because it's going to add in another 30% critical damage, which is a lot more. And I think if I was a little more confident in not dying in a single hit, then I would replace, say, the reserve boosting gem and maybe put that thing on and get some more crit damage. So I'm really smoking, guys. But, I'm not confident because all it takes is one bad misplay, and then guess what? I'm gone. And that is super frustrating. I can make it all the way towards the end of the level, suddenly make one little misstep, and then that's it. Doesn't matter how much damage you did, because guess what? You died in a single hit, and so now you gotta start over. Oops. Boom. Boom. Let's reload you. Oh, let's see. Activate you. Neutral dodge back. Now, see, and again, kind of an issue is that Burden of the Audacious, where dodging will heal us, is I have so little health now that taking a single hit really puts me low. And so how much of an opportunity am I really going to have to get value from dodges healing me? Because if I'm so low, I'm dying in like a single hit, what's the point of dodging to heal? Because I'm already dead, or I'm just not getting hit. So like right now, for the most part, Burden of the Audacious, not doing anything for me. I would be better with the Destroyer Ring, or one of the other ones, something, right? Dodge. Oops. Yeah, I mean, that's a big chunk of health, right? But, I mean, you saw how much it took off of me. You saw how much it took off of me. And then if I really want to have more damage reduction, it means I have to swap out more of my rings in order to get enough damage reduction to take multiple hits. But then that means I'm not doing a lot of other damage things, or I just can't use, like the freaking that thing, or maybe I'm not using that one. And so I end up sacrificing a whole bunch of damage to be survivable just to make one ring work, right? It's so frustrating. And the other part that, you might not think about, because you're like, oh, I mean, it gives me the benefits of the burden rings without the downsides, except the downside is 20% HP. But that's not the only thing you're losing out on. You're also losing out on another different amulet. And the amulets have strong effects. Like, you're not using anything else that's giving you more damage. You're not using anything else that's giving you more utility. Like, all the other possible amulets you could be using, you're not. You're not. And how much is it adding? It's giving me damage from this, but is that the same thing as having 15 or 30% more damage overall? Is that the same thing from 20% to target suffering things? Like the absolute amazing stuff that is detonation trigger or any of the other amulets? Like, it just doesn't compare. And for those of you who watch all my stuff, you know I am not always about making super optimized choices because, that's what's fun, is just doing different things. But if it doesn't feel fun and it just feels difficult and awful, why would I use it? It just doesn't. That's why I haven't used it for almost a week, is because it's not fun. It's not satisfying. It feels bad. So, I mean, that's pretty much how I feel. You can make it work, I guess. Lower difficulties, probably fine. But, like, it's just not. You're better off using something else, man. You're just better off. I don't know. I think it would be better if, it didn't take 20% of your HP. 20%? I wish it was like 10% would be much more reasonable, because then you could have 4 burden rings on and be at 60%, and then you could start like going with the hardened coil and stuff, things like that. Would it be overpowered if it didn't take any of your health? I don't think so necessarily, but then that works against the flavor of the amulet, because if you read it, it specifically says something like, gratitude and platitudes are all well good, but without material gain to back them up, they are worthless as air, blah, blah, blah. Remarkable deeds come at a remarkable price, and without said price, those in need, divine or no, ought to be left to their miserly suffering. Or miserly, however you say it. So it's basically saying, like, everything should come at a price, and if it's not coming at a price, then, like, you're just better off suffering in the first place or something. So, like, I get the idea and the flavor behind it. Like, yeah, you're trading one thing, but there still needs to be a cost for it. Like, okay, cool, sure. But I don't know. I'm not about it. I don't know. Maybe. Hey, there's some healing. Oh, God damn it. I should have just rolled anyways. Should have played it safe. And see, it didn't matter. I could have had 40% more HP to wiggle around with there. And I didn't have it. And even though I had more damage reduction for being low at health, guess what? Didn't matter. Let's take it lower. You know what? We're going to take off. Let's take off you. We're just going to full damage. We're going to go full 4 burdens and see how this goes. We're not going to need healing. We're going to be so low in health, doesn't even matter. So let's do the, I don't know. Oh, we should do Burden of the Destroyer. Let's get rid of you. Let's put on Burden of the Departed, which gives us more damage. And then let's put on, maybe do mod power generation. That would kind of help us with, using more of our mods and stuff for more damage. But now we're at 20% HP. So, yeah, good luck to us, right? Here we go. I do feel a bit of a damage difference there. Now, obviously, I guess I could trade some guns, and maybe if I was using some different guns, I would have a different experience or something. But I have been trying other guns, right? I have been trying to do... I mean, my bad, I guess. I heard him, and I should have looked up, but also, look at that. Now you're just dead. Bummer, dude. It's so obnoxious. I hate it. I really do. Should you use the amulet? If you want to. Like, don't let me stop you. You could totally use it. Especially on your lower difficulties, right? Do I recommend it? No, I don't. I really don't. Don't. And then I missed because of the stupid claws, and there was another dude anyways. Don't use the amulet. It's not worth it. It doesn't need to be this harsh. I don't know, man. Maybe you disagree with me. Disagree with me in the comments. Let it out there. Let it out. Up next, what am I going to do next? I'm going to try and use the stupid Onyx Pendulum. I also don't like that one. But that's what's up next. So until the next one, take care, everybody.